Hello there, and welcome to the Average Pundits podcast, where we talk about all things Premier League. And today we've got a very, very interesting episode. Quite a lengthy debate on the recent departure of Mauricio Pochettino from Tottenham Hotspurs, and it's going to be a debate between the two suffering teams in the Premier League. So, joining me as always, my resident Average Pundit and also Man United fan, Joseph Brody.
Hiya, mate. How you doing?
Not too bad. How have you been?
Oh, mate, could be better. But, we live and we learn, don't we? We carry on. Yeah. But, it's all to play for. Still, I'm still trying to keep some hope.
And we have a resident Arsenal fan and also guest star this week, Al Forsyth.
How we doing, mate? Pleasure to be here.
Oh, so it's a pleasure to have you as always. So, shall we get on to this break?
Yeah.
So when we recorded this last week's episode,
we both went home, all ready to upload it and everything, and then later that day, Pochettino gets sacked.
Yeah. So we were kind of
great timing,
late to the Poch party, but I think it's something that we have to discuss, I guess. Is it the right decision for Spurs to make?
So many things, because you do look at he's built that club 100%. Like, there is. Tottenham were a terrible, terrible side until he come along, and he's literally changed it all with no money. But you look at the results he was getting, hadn't won away since January, I believe.
It was something like that.
Yeah,
mate.
Unbelievable. Like,
atrocious.
So just terrible league form, to be honest with you. And so I understand that if Spurs are thinking, right, we have to get in the Champions League this year, you have to make a change because... what are they, 14th in the league, miles off it. They looked awful as they were playing. All of their big players were out of form, really. Couldn't really defend at all.
Yeah.
There's obviously the thing with Jan Vertonghen and
Eriksen's
misses, or whatever that is.
Yeah, that was just weird. That was
wild. Do you reckon...
Was that all true?
I think so. I think it might have been.
It's been believed it's true because he took him out the squad, didn't he, for ages, Poch?
Yeah, I knew he was out for some reason.
Oh dear.
My God. But I mean, what? Like Spurs are sitting in 10th at the moment. Obviously,
that's after the win from Mourinho.
That was after the win. Yeah,
scraped win though. That's the thing. Like they scraped the win.
Look good.
But going back to when it happened, I mean, Poch gets sacked. Rumours are Mourinho's coming in. It does look like it's making a bit of sense. I mean, I tipped Allegri to go.
Yeah.
But that was my bet. But by the morning, the next thing we know, Mourinho's there.
Do you guys think Poch, lost favour with the dressing room? Do you think that was a case of the players doing what Leicester City did to Ranieri?
I'm not sure. I reckon possibly a few of them may have been throwing their toys out of the pram.
Obviously, Christian Eriksen.
Yeah, Christian Eriksen this year has looked awful underneath him. I think he wanted that move to Madrid so badly, didn't he? And,
yeah, he did.
Spurs were prepared to sell him, but Madrid just didn't come knocking. And so then it was like, well, you've got to stay here because where else are you going to go?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And then he's just sort of down tools and said, well, I've got a year left on my deal. There's going to be someone who wants me for free.
Exactly.
So it's all well and good saying like, oh yeah, I want to go to Real Madrid or Barcelona, but mate, they've got to want you first, haven't they? You've got to prove yourself first.
It's going to be Juventus that pick him up on a free, isn't it? They did it with Ramsey last year.
That's such a Juventus move as well.
Yeah, I reckon it'll be Juventus. Yeah, imagine that. You've Ramsey, Eriksen, and they've got Ronaldo up top.
27.
Yeah,
coming on around 28 maybe.
Eriksen's hitting his prime right now, so for someone to snap him up for free and not get 100 million fee for him, like that was always the rumours for like Man United to come and snap him up for like 100 million.
For Jose Mourinho coming in though, I mean, obviously, a lot of heads turn to the United fans. What's your opinion on it? I don't have an opinion on it. I harbour no real resentment to Mourinho.
Yeah. He
definitely needed to leave the club. He was destroying us. I mean, we're currently still being destroyed, but I mean, at the time, he was destroying us. And it was just, it had become stagnant, it had become stale. He won 2 trophies whilst he was with us. That can't be forgotten. He won 2 trophies. And that's what he does. He's a serial winner, isn't he? Which kind of, I reckon, the highlights are probably why Tottenham wanted to go for him.
Yeah, he's got championship DNA. He's got title DNA.
Tell you what, though, I think a few years ago, if you would have said Mourinho's going to Tottenham, I would not have believed you.
Well, Chelsea fans are probably absolutely going bonkers about it. You know, back in 2007, he said he wasn't going to join Tottenham ever.
Yeah.
And look. I mean, to be fair, who would want to manage Tottenham back then? They were
exactly.
suffering even more than they are now.
So that interview he gave, though, was like, journalists asked him, like, well, you said you never joined Tottenham. What happened? He's like, that's before I got sacked.
Exactly.
That's great. That is.
There's no loyalty in football anymore. Like, you get sacked. It's like, you divorce your missus, then she sleeps with another bloke. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, fair enough.
Things, isn't it?
It's
I don't
you can't have any fault with that. You know, they got sacked. They joined another club.
Do you not think Mourinho's past his sell-by date though? Because I think
coming to
nowadays the age is of pressing football, isn't it? You look at the forefront teams at the moment are City and Liverpool, and like Arsenal tried to get pressing football by hiring Emery, hasn't worked out. There's so many teams that like hire pressing managers. You even look at Southampton, like so many clubs are right now trying to play pressing football.
Yeah.
Do you think him playing a low block is better than that? Like, is it worthwhile, sort of thing? Like,
that is actually such a good question. I mean, the high pressing football is what, as football fans, is the most interesting thing to watch. You love to see it, and right now I think Liverpool have pretty much got that nailed to a T, haven't they? I mean, because when Liverpool are good, they're unstoppable.
Absolutely, yeah.
But yeah, so it's one of these things. Like, does he have the fire in his belly still to go? And then has he got the fire in his belly to go win all these trophies again? Yeah. And has he even got a side that can do it? Because we've always said, it's Pochettino's fault that Tottenham can't win a trophy, but no one's really looked at that team and said, well, hang about, like, you've got to have title DNA in your whole team as well.
No, that's true.
So,
I mean,
they've
got an amazing forefront player in Harry Kane. Obviously, he represents a lot to the club. Yeah. So I think it's good that they've managed to keep him. But a player of that caliber, without winning a trophy in his career,
he's gonna start getting restless.
Yeah,
that's for sure. I mean, there was rumours that Tottenham, with Mourinho, were gonna try and snatch up Zlatan Ibrahimovic, and then Mourinho just shut them down and was like, no, we don't need him. We have Harry Kane.
I did see that. I mean, why you'd be looking to sign another striker when you have got arguably the best striker in the world?
Why you'd be trying to sign a 38-year-old Zlatan Ibrahimovic who's
Manchester
played
United
2
kill for that
years
right
in the MLS? Finished off with an ACL injury. Like, fair play, could prove me wrong that he might go to a club and actually bang. But I'm like, Carlos Vela looks like an absolute world beater in the MLS, and literally he was a terrible player at Arsenal. Was very average at Sociedad. So I kind of don't believe that because you can score 30 goals in an MLS season, you're a good player.
Yeah.
Or even look at Almiron. Almiron come over from Atlanta, didn't he? Yeah. And everyone said, Almiron, he's going to be amazing. And he's done literally nothing for Newcastle.
He hasn't.
He reminds me of the... pardon me there. My voice, cheeky voice crack. He reminds me of the Liverpool front three that we had back in 2015. Ricky Lambert, Balotelli and Fabio Borini.
The dream
like 32 shots, 0 goals. That Newcastle front three was was awful. But looking at this Mourinho situation, I think that he does know like what he wants, and he knows that he needs to spend big either in January or in the summer to try and bring some big name faces in.
I think this was something which was definitely being planned or talked about at least behind the scenes. So
do you think, like, you see, because like Tottenham have always been about, like, their model has always been buying young players, developing them, and then selling them for high prices. You look at Kyle Walker, bought in for like, what was it, 2.5 million, 5 million. He sold for 50.
Same with
stuff
Bale.
like that. Yeah, Bale and stuff like that. And so, can you see Jose Mourinho going, all right, okay, I'll take this 21-year-old, or I'll take Ryan Sessegnon on, who they've signed.
Yeah.
I'm going to develop him into a world-class fullback, and then I'm going to sell him on to a City or a Liverpool for like all of that money. I just don't see Mourinho doing that. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if it comes to January, Mourinho goes, first thing I want, Nemanja Matic. Yeah. And I want Nemanja Matic to sit in the middle of midfield for me.
It's a real weird thing. Is Mourinho going to stick to these trends like you're mentioning, or is he going to try and change things?
I don't think that's the way that Mourinho works. Mourinho comes in and it's his club. It's not about, he does stuff his way. It's not about the board. And I think Tottenham were the board were prepared to do that. They were prepared to sacrifice what they are currently doing and move on, because what they're doing currently, yes, it got them to the Champions League final, but the form towards the end of that season was poor.
That is a really good point you mentioned there, because I think even with Pochettino at the helm, I feel like the board had a lot of control. Yeah. Whereas now you're looking at a board which has stepped back a bit and hired such a character, such a personality, like you said, when he comes in, it's his club.
Mhm.
Are they going to be able to adjust to that, especially Daniel Levy?
Yeah, I mean, with Mourinho having such the big ego that he does, like he's going to be demanding stuff. Like he's used to having everything that he wants, especially with coming in at Chelsea, where everything, he had all the money.
Yeah.
Back in 2004. So
Yeah.
I think it's just a matter of time before we see what Mourinho can do. And obviously we'll probably hop back to Mourinho in a bit, with the whole Tottenham situation and Pochettino. But
I mean, looking at the Premier League results from that's just gone, mate. First game to talk about it, probably in depth, is that Tottenham game.
yeah, Tottenham they looked a bit scrappy. Obviously in the first half they went 2-0 up. Son and Lucas Moura putting him in the lead, and then Harry Kane sticking the third one in.
Yeah, it wasn't. Obviously, they looked really good at the start. It all came slipping back towards the end, but it's on paper that's still a 3-2 narrow scrape.
It is, yeah. Oh, yeah. Like you can look about it. Yeah, they went 3-0 up, but then they also conceded 2 goals.
Yeah.
Yes, the other one was a corner that obviously training ground slips happen and stuff, but
Yeah.
You shouldn't be conceding 2 goals and almost slipping away from a lead.
Yeah.
Mikel Antonio scoring that first goal, and then Angelo Ogbonna scoring it was the 96th minute.
Yeah.
So
they just look shaky, though, don't they?
they do.
Spurs.
The defence is not up to par.
Defence is not up to par. Like I could see Mourinho literally in January saying straight away, right, I need a new right back because Sergio Aurier is not good enough.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
He needs to sort out what Toby and Jan Vertonghen are going to be doing. Because are they going to stay? Are they going to go? And then even so, Rose has even looked really dodgy this season. And so I could literally I could see him just telling Spurs straight away, or Daniel Levy, I need a new back 4.
Yeah.
I mean, Mourinho's ties with Alex Telles and Porto as well, so I reckon that's a new, or just Porto in general. So he could bring in Telles to do a job at left back and replace Danny Rose, a new young right back or something, and maybe like another centre back, or maybe just playing Sanchez a bit more because I think he's missing from that starting 11.
Tell you what, I'm more convincing when Leicester 2-0 against Brighton, and that was an away job they did there.
Yeah,
seeing Iosi Perez getting on the score sheet again.
It's surprising because obviously he doesn't score too much. Obviously he had the hat trick against Southampton, and then Vardy scoring the penalty later on. Leicester obviously they're continuing their good form. They're a very good side at the minute. Brendan Rodgers does know what he's doing.
There's some really weird stats in that though. I mean, Brighton dominated them on possession really. They had the majority of the possession.
They had no shots on target.
But no shots on target.
I mean,
better passing.
Possession
no
game. It's like we said earlier. Possession game. It's not really the best anymore. It's more pressing. It's counter-attacking football. It's all about pace, and I think that's what Leicester have in bunches. They have Damari Gray. They have Jamie Vardy, Jose Perez to come in and wipe the floor with their defence. So constantly counter-attacking. That's the threat of Jamie Vardy, is a counter-attacking forward. Yeah, and I think that he
only going to get better as well.
Exactly.
Leicester, aren't they?
Exactly.
You look at their team. Like I think what's the average age? 23, 24?
Something like that.
And so their midfield 3 alone. Wilf Ndidi's 23, Tielemans is 22, and then Maddison's 22, and it's just.
We've mentioned on here before just how much we rate that Leicester team.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, in more particular, I think my favourite at the moment, like I said it before, I said it again, I think Wilfred Ndidi is absolutely class, mate.
He's very solid, as we said before. He's probably top 5 central defensive midfielders in the Premier League right now.
Yeah.
So I reckon it's only a matter of time before he takes that those next steps like N'Golo Kante did.
Yeah. Even more convincing, Burnley 3-0 away at Watford.
Yeah,
What a day for Burnley.
It's rare that you see Burnley getting away win like that, and obviously Nick Pope coming to the rescue with multiple saves.
Yeah.
And obviously, he's just a very good player. I can definitely see him going to the Euros.
I think he will. Yeah. I think we discussed a while ago again in terms of England's number 1 keeper. It's all looking a bit dicey at the moment. I think I can see right now it's still being Pickford just from old habits die hard.
Yeah.
I think we'll take Pope, Pickford, and Dean Henderson.
I think Tom Heaton.
I think Heaton will go.
I think Heaton will go instead of Henderson. Yeah, I think Henderson's a good couple years, maybe at the World Cup, when Heaton maybe retires. But I think Gareth Southgate is going to prefer the experience of Heaton to help the younger goalkeepers.
Yeah, it could be a shout, mate. To be fair.
100%.
What about Liverpool? 2-1 win over Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
You mentioned quite a few times that Crystal Palace worry you.
Yeah, Crystal Palace always worry me. I mean, since Christian Ball, obviously. Then the first game that I properly noticed Aaron Wan-Bissaka as an absolute unit was against us. So for them to score the first goal and then have it disallowed, started getting my heart beating a bit. Then
VAR, man.
You don't like VAR in Liverpool. Sadio Mane and Firmino getting the goals. It enlists a bit of confidence that we were able to pull out the win. What doesn't enlist confidence is the fact that we haven't been able to keep a clean sheet still in a number of games. I think it was since that Sheffield United game.
Considering you, I think, have arguably the best defence in the league, there are maybe potentially holes there.
Yeah, we haven't conceded. Well, we haven't kept a clean sheet in any competitions since that Sheffield United game, and I think that is a worry that Jurgen does need to look at.
Yeah,
maybe it is a new central defensive partner for Virgil van Dijk, but who knows? I couldn't tell you, to be honest.
Is Joel Matip back yet?
I'm not sure actually. I think Dejan Lovren is still
because I think
filling in.
He was the standout defender of that four. The start of the season.
Yeah,
I think he completely overshadowed Van Dijk, to be honest with you.
He did have some great run-outs, didn't
he? Yeah, Matt Yeo, he loves bringing the ball up the pitch. He's got very long legs to intercept passes and tackles. So with Dejan Lovren in right now, I think that's the hole that defenses do look at and be like, hey, target this man because he's not up to par.
I think he's diabolical.
He is absolutely shocking. I hated his acquisition when we first bought him. I never liked him as a player.
Yeah.
I just don't think he's a right fit for the club, and I really hope that we get rid of him.
Tell you what, as well. Moving on, Bournemouth again, another away. Wolverhampton's away win at Bournemouth.
Yeah.
Did anyone see the Jimenez goal?
I actually have not. No.
I tell you what, mate. Absolutely phenomenal. Straight off the training ground, an absolutely phenomenal free kick routine. Just great pass, and just able to finish it off. I mean, Wolves are just so good at set pieces. They're so good. It's unbelievable.
I mean, when you've got a set piece deadeye like Ruben Neves, you're always bound to get a goal, or a threat from a free kick or a corner.
Yeah,
like he's got some of the best vision in the Premier League. And how old is he? 22, 23?
22, I think he's 23 now.
Like he's without doubt one of the best young stars in the Premier League.
Yeah,
I'd say Adama as well, mate.
Adama Traore. He is a couple shooting sessions away from being one of the most deadliest wingers in the world.
Yeah.
He just causes so many problems, doesn't he? Well, he got the assist for the Jimenez one, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
He literally, he gave, I think it's Sergio Rico, Bournemouth. He gave him 10 yards, and then just completely gassed him. Rico got nowhere near it, and when you can do that, it's just lethal, isn't it?
Just the dribbling and the speed, like you said, is just unbelievable.
Strength as well. He's built like a brick house. He's so quick, and he's just an absolute unit. And those goals against City, more of that, more consistency like that, and I think we've got a potential real dead eye as a player.
You can see why Barcelona had him, and then why they sold him to Middlesbrough as well.
Yeah,
on his end product, but his end product is massively improving this season.
100%. I was going to say the red card from Bournemouth slowed the game down for them in the 37th minute. I think that went down. Yeah. Already after being 2-0 down and then getting a man sent off, it isn't going to look good, is it? I mean, they got a goal back.
Consolation goals. There's always bright things to look at when you get a goal, but I think that Bournemouth need to take a look and maybe Eddie Howe might be looking to go elsewhere.
Yeah.
And maybe take an Arsenal job or another job in the Premier League.
Be interested to see where he ends up. A club which he has possibly been touted to maybe go to. I mean, that Marco Silva's definitely, his position is hanging by a thread.
Especially after this game.
Yeah, a 2-0 win for Norwich. Again, another away wins all round if not Norwich.
Todd Cantwell giving the goals for Norwich. It's only a matter of time, like you said, until Silva gets the boot.
He's been like this for a year, though, isn't he?
Yeah.
Where he's literally just been one result off of getting sacked, and then he somehow pulls it out. His next run of fixtures, I think he's got all of the big six.
I think he does
in his next six. So I doubt be able to pull it out this time. But there's so many times where we've been thinking like he's bound to get the sack, and then he gets a couple of good wins, and then he's back on it, and everyone's behind him. But I agree this time. I think he's done, mate.
Yep. Their next fixtures, they've got Everton. They've got Leicester away, Liverpool away, Chelsea at home, Man United away, Arsenal at home.
Yeah.
What a rough run at games that is for them.
They are not in for a good one, are
For
they?
a rough, bumpy ride.
Moving on, Man City 2-1 win against Chelsea.
Disappointed me because I was hoping they were both going to draw and keep away from the top.
Yeah.
So for Chelsea to go and concede that Riyad Mahrez goal.
Good goal from Kante.
It was. Kante always scores good goals, doesn't he?
It's the
He
only thing
never
knows,
scores
mate.
a bad goal.
That's all he knows.
He's great from long range. He's definitely the top central defensive midfielder in the league at the moment. It's only a matter of time before Fabinho comes knocking though. But then obviously Kevin De Bruyne shows his class.
Yeah, 100%.
Week in, week out, he's definitely, I'd say at the moment, one of the best, if not the best player in the Premier League.
Yeah,
Kevin De Bruyne.
He's fantastic. He's
definitely up there, I'd say.
His ball control, even his finishing, he's a top quality player. And
I think Man City have three. They have three of the best players in the league in De Bruyne, Sterling, and Aguero.
Absolutely.
All of those three are on the top 10.
Yeah.
Well, actually, maybe like top 6.
Yeah, but
I'd say.
possibly.
So.
And then Aston Villa 2-0 against Newcastle.
Pretty standard game. Obviously, Newcastle they show no attacking prowess whatsoever.
Yeah,
their front three, as we previously said, it's abysmal. Like I don't think their front three have a goal this season.
Seriously,
I don't think they do. St. Maximin has scored.
I think
Joelinton might have,
yeah.
But Almiron hasn't scored since he's been there.
So it's worrying, isn't it? That St. Maximin came in with such a lot of buzz around him as well.
It's because he was touted to be a very good player, but then he went to Newcastle.
Yeah.
I don't think Newcastle is a great fit for him. Neither is Joelinton.
No.
Newcastle is a team for Andy Carroll.
They have to do it by themselves, don't they? Because there's literally no one else in the team who's good enough. So they literally give St. Maximin the ball, and they're literally like, okay, travel 80 yards and put it in the top corner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And unless you're Lionel Messi, you don't do that. You know, like he's a very good player, St. Maximin. When you watch him play, he can dribble very well, but you can't rely on him 90 minutes to produce, 15 dribbles a match and get you up the pitch. It's just a poor side setup, really.
I could see him moving in the summer. Like, even though he's just been there for one season, I can see someone sniffing around for him.
Potentially Newcastle down and a couple of players being saved. Maybe.
Yeah, pretty much. It's going to be, we did with Jean Shaqiri.
Yeah.
We got him for on the cheap. I reckon Maximin could be on a cheap after Newcastle relegation, potentially.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see. Last two results. Al, mate, I'm going to let you go first. Arsenal, Southampton, mate.
Where to start? We were absolutely dominated by Southampton, and this is a team that the other week lost 9-0 to Leicester, and they were so much better than us. We were so lucky to get a result out of it. Both Lacazette's goals were quite nice, to be fair. The first one was a rebound off of Aubameyang. Ozil created a really nice chance for him, and then the second one was Martinelli, who was meant to be like a prospect player who was like going to train in the reserves, but because of the state of our attack, he's having to play because no one else can do it. It was just awful. Southampton fully deserved the win. I was actually very upset that we drew because it means that Unai might stay in the job a little bit longer.
It was crazy that a point was rescued in that game. Unai Emery, man. Like, obviously, we are going to move on to talk a little bit about it. Going into the stats of that game, though, Southampton, a pretty poor return on targets, but 21 shots in total, 6 of them being on target. That isn't that good.
I mean, I have a few points about Unai Emery later on, but for Arsenal to let Southampton have 21 shots, it says it all, really. You can't let any team have that many shots. They are going to score. It's unless you Newcastle by the sounds of it. So I reckon Arsenal need to make some changes, whether that be managerial, or whether that be players in January.
It's a weird position to be in. And honestly, we didn't do any better. 3-3 away at Sheffield. Again...
And you didn't deserve it.
No, where to start there? Like, me and Reece were mentioning this before the podcast. Arguably the worst performance United have put in a very long time. And
that last 10-minute comeback masked Ollie's worst performance.
Yeah.
And that might keep him in a job, which is a shame for Man United fans because honestly, from an outsider's perspective, that was abysmal.
So like I said, the only positive thing which I took from that game was the attitudes of the young players in that game when scoring.
Yeah, Brandon Williams and Mason Greenwood coming back and scoring.
Obviously, we had Brandon Williams on the podcast last week in the hype train. Kid's kind of come in from nowhere, been putting in good performances at left back, scored a very, very good goal, very well taken goal.
Finish,
Turns around, just carries on, just turns around, just gets on with it.
Absolutely.
And that's really good to see because that's the kind of mentality I want our players to exude. But
I said last week on the podcast that I wanted Brandon Williams to make me know who he is by the end of this season.
Yeah.
I think that game is sort of a testament to that. Yeah, he got that booking early in the second half, but he came back and responded to those two Sheffield United goals.
Yeah.
And absolutely, he's the way he didn't celebrate. He's the ultimate professional. Keep your head down, run back.
Exactly the same with Greenwood.
And just get on with the game.
The place is there for him, though, isn't it? Luke Shaw cannot stay fit, can he, at all? And it's a shame because, we looked at Luke Shaw when he come through at Southampton thinking, God, this is going to be the next, this is going to be the world's best left. It looked like Ashley Cole, didn't it?
Yeah.
The FIFA regen of Ashley Cole.
He never fully recovered from that injury, which was extremely
and
upsetting.
He can't stay off the pizzas.
Exactly.
Relatable.
Genuinely, but you never know. Brandon Williams wanted to solidify himself in that team, but
I mean, you'd hope so from a United standpoint.
But all in all, poor. Not happy with that.
Absolutely. And then obviously we'll come on to Man United and Arsenal. Later on in this podcast, both of their managers coming under fire at the minute with their poor performances, and also mentioning the Poch sacking from Tottenham. Obviously, he's a free agent now. But first, it's time for my favourite segment here. It's episode 10's Hype Train, and we got a request here. It's Harry Winks from Tottenham Hotspur.
Now I know where I'd put him straight away.
Average.
He's nothing special at all.
He's bang average. Absolutely.
He's just a nothing player.
They put him in central attacking mid for England. Did not. He scored a goal, but
if everyone's fit at Tottenham, I don't see where he plays because Ndombele is so much better than him as a 6.
Yeah.
Giovanni Lo Celso, who for some reason cannot get a look in at Tottenham,
which is so weird because he's so good.
He's an unbelievable player. At Betis last year, the numbers he was putting up, he was literally carrying that team.
Yeah.
And then obviously you've got Dele Alli as well.
You never know. I mean, that performance, that pass he put in. I don't know if any of you saw
it. Was
that.
It was so weird. Like he
really
put it between
pass.
his legs, crawly turny sort of thing. I have no idea how he did it, but fair enough.
I mean, I don't know about you guys. I'm more than happy to put Winks in average.
Harry Winks is a dead average player.
Yeah,
he can definitely. I was tempted to put him in poor, but Winks can go average.
League average, mate. Like you could see him definitely like. If Mourinho doesn't fancy him, you could see him at like a Villa next year and just sort of putting in the average 5 out of 10 performance.
He's the next Tom Cleverley.
I was just thinking. Tom Cleverley.
He's going to end up at Watford.
Yeah.
Next player. Oh yeah.
Did you have a recommendation?
We have guessed.
So I had a suggestion of Dani Ceballos, as in where would you put him? Because obviously he come in with maybe not as big a reputation as he potentially deserved because of going into Madrid, for some reason Zidane just does not want to play him.
Just doesn't rate him, does he?
Keeps looking at like a 34-year-old Luka Modric and a 29-year-old Kroos who's never been able to run, and he still thinks that them two can keep doing a job for him. And so it's very strange that he doesn't want to pick him anyways. But he come in with quite a low reputation. Did well in the under-21s, so he was very good in that. Yeah. Coming to Arsenal, his first couple games, he was on absolute fire. And honestly, I thought, oh my days, like if we can keep him, we'll build the team around him for the next few years. He's gone off the boil a little bit though, but yeah, for me, I'd still rate him in in a very good position. To be honest with you, I think he's quality.
I think he's like a bit of glimmer and hope in a dying Arsenal team.
Yeah.
Current performances maybe not so much, but time does. Time can tell how he grows as a player.
He's a strange one, isn't he? Like, obviously,
to categorise him is quite hard because he's not average. But
Real Madrid don't invest unless there's something there. They don't. They just don't do it. They completely tear apart the BBVA, but they don't invest unless there's something there. And when he was signed, there was a lot of buzz around Madrid. It was like, oh, this is exciting. He's a young player, a young Spanish player. So this could get him in the mix. And like Al said, he just couldn't seem to get a look in at Real Madrid, so opted for the loan move. I feel like when I think a lot of Arsenal fans found it was only a loan, I think there was a bit of frustration there because again, short-term solutions constantly. But I do like him. But I think Spain, especially in their midfield at the moment, they have got so many competitors. Real Madrid also. I mean, if players like Isco and Asensio, it's confusing where you're putting them into the mix. If those players like that caliber are struggling to get in, Ceballos doesn't have a chance at Madrid.
Absolutely.
Well, you even look at Kovacic. Kovacic couldn't get a game, and he's come to the Premier League, and he had a tough first 12 months. But this season he's looked amazing.
He's looked good, hasn't he?
I think Arsenal need to try and make this loan move a permanent deal. That might, solidify a problem that they have.
Well, he said that he's going to move if Zidane's still the manager at the end of the year.
Yeah.
But whether that's to Arsenal or another club that will take him.
Imagine if he makes the move to Chelsea.
It wouldn't surprise me, but then again, Chelsea have got such a good midfield as it is that I think he will now be looking at it being like, I'm 22 years of age, I've spent 3 years sitting on the bench, I need to get playing now, sort of thing. So maybe Arsenal's the club to do that.
If it's me, it's difficult to place him anywhere.
It really is.
I'm gonna say average, and I mean that in the sense that I feel like he does have room to grow. I think he's maybe getting on a bit to put him in a prospect category. I mean, he's not a young player.
He's 23,
and I wouldn't necessarily put him as the star player at Arsenal because I feel like your star players right now is your Aubameyangs and your Lacazettes. They're the top dogs. So personally, I'd put him in average. Is that what you guys think?
I think it's midway. I'm kind of trying to sit on the fence of average and prospect because he is still young. There is a lot of room to grow. Maybe there is under a new, as we'll come on to later. Maybe if Ceballos does make the permanent move to Arsenal and Poch comes in and takes him under his wing, Poch does what he does best.
What Poch could do with him, mate.
Exactly,
it would be unreal.
So I'm gonna say he's a prospect for now, and we'll give Al the final vote, and we'll.
I definitely agree, prospect. I think, we'll come on to it in a bit, that he's being absolutely stifled by Emery, as is so many players and stuff like that. I think if a new manager comes in, like if a Mauricio Pochettino got a hold of him, I literally think that we could buy him for like 40 mil and we'd sell him straight back to Madrid the season after for like 80, 90, quite happily. Like
he's turned so many young players into absolute stars, and I think that Ceballos could be one of those players. He's a very good central midfielder. He just needs the room to grow. He needs the playing time.
So where are we thinking, guys?
I think we go prospect on that one. He's still only 23 years of age.
No, I can see that, boys.
And Al, your second offering, please.
So the second one, just to give it a bit of an Arsenal theme, is Nicola Pepe. And so it's obviously a massive, massive deal when he came in. No one expected Arsenal to pull it off. There was Bayern Munich, there was United, there was PSG, there was so many clubs that were after him.
Very heavily Liverpool as well.
Liverpool, Napoli as well. Napoli put a bid in for him. And it looked like he was going to stay for one more year and then go. But then Arsenal have got him on this structured deal. As an Arsenal fan, I was delighted, honestly, to think like this guy was only outscored in Ligue 1 by Mbappe.
That's crazy, isn't it?
And he's a right winger. So I was literally thinking, oh my God, what a player have we got? He's come to the Premier League, and I think he just shows flashes, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Like there was the game when we played against Liverpool where like he skinned Robertson and stuff like that and dribbled past Van Dijk. But then it's just, it's almost going back to the Adama Traore situation, just the lack of end product at times, like...
He fits into the category of, fast wingers, very good dribbling, but no end product, like Saint-Maximin, Traore.
I'll tell you what, this is going to be a lot harder than we think, I think, to put him
I really do think so, because my instant thought was maybe put him in star, but then obviously he's come to the Premier League and go...
He isn't the star.
He's stifled. He's stifled dramatically, so... I think
defend. He cannot defend.
No.
He does absolutely no defensive work. So this is half the problem with him. Like with at least Lacazette and Aubameyang, they actually work hard. Whereas
they genuinely do.
Nicolas Pepe is very lazy.
Yeah, absolutely. He needs a bit of an extra work ethic.
Yeah.
I think he's too young to be a prospect at this point. He's 24. So
there's only one place for him, really, and it's a shame to put him there.
It is. I think that we will have to visit this segment as maybe a whole episode and go through all the players and maybe reshuffle them.
Yeah, at some point down the line, a big hype train episode could be an interesting listen.
But for now, I want Pepe because he's a very good player. He can prove that, and if by the end of the season, again, like we say, Pochettino comes in, takes this young player and makes him the star he can be. I think he can be great, but for now, we might have to go average.
He's average, isn't he?
Right now,
he's bang average right now.
I think it's one of these ones that maybe not even at the end of this season. Maybe he's one of these players who needs a season to bed in, but the season after, he might become an absolute sensation.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
he reminds me of kind of a bit like Memphis Depay, not in the sense of the attitude and necessarily the playing style, but I mean, comes in with the hype, comes in with the price tag, and it's just like
underperformed
anticipation. It's just like you're waiting. It's like, come on,
he's waiting.
All right, almost there, and it just hasn't arrived at all.
Constantly waiting for that moment to come where he sparks and hits the ground running.
But then Memphis Depay moves away, and he finds form.
Exactly.
So I don't know. Maybe it could be what has to happen. But it'll be interesting to see where it takes us in the future.
So that is it for the hype train. Please leave your suggestions down below, or on our social medias, Twitter at Pundits Average and Instagram at Average Pundit. Make sure you go and follow, and also leave a suggestion on who you want to be on next week's hype train. Moving on to the main topic, and it's a big one. Obviously, Mauricio Pochettino has been sacked from Tottenham Hotspur last week, and he's a free agent. There's two clubs that are begging for his name, pretty much. Al, I'm going to start with you. Diehard Arsenal fan.
Yep.
Currently, Unai Emery in charge. Arsenal are 8th at Christmas.
It's lacklustre. It's awful, honestly, to be honest with you. Like, the thing that Emery was always said to do was he was going to stifle the attack a little bit, and in order to get defensive solidity. But at the time, we had Wenger, and our attack was literally invincible. Like, there was only two attacks better than Arsenal's at that time, so fans were sort of prepared to say, all right, then that's fine, because we'll still have an incredibly good attack. It won't be it won't be 6 players attacking, no one defending. But to be honest with you, he's completely shut down the attack. The attack, we've got the joint top scorer in the league last year, and he's playing off of scraps. We've got a 50 million striker in Lacazette, who everyone was after. Literally, again, plays off of scraps. And then you've got Pepe. And I think half of Pepe's reason why we have to call him average is because it's just, the football's just so boring. Like, that Southampton game, we played 7 defensive players. And we just said to Ozil, Aubameyang and Lacazette, go on, try and win us a game. Mm-hmm. But you've got to have someone who's going to progress the ball up to them. Like, Mesut Ozil doesn't do that. And so, for me, I think Emery's just got to go. The longer we wait, the worse it gets, because we're getting further and further away from that top 4.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got a man in charge who, before he came to Arsenal, 4-0 up in the first leg against Barcelona. Second leg, he flushes it down the toilet and loses 6-0. He's also shown less backbone with letting the players choose the captain. I mean, the captain is supposed to be that guy who represents represents the manager on the field, the one that implements his tactics, and to let the players put names in a hat and then pick it out of a hat, it shows that Unai Emery has no backbone, 100%. And I do not agree with how he's implemented them.
Why he picks Xhaka anyways, I don't know. I think, like, what annoys Arsenal fans maybe the most is that, like, I think United is quite a long-term fix, whereas I think Arsenal's squad, or the starting 11 at least, you can sort that and fix it very quickly just by playing the right players alone. Like Xhaka is he's a great passer of the ball, but that is literally it. He has nothing else to his game.
No.
And he's just not a Premier League player, is he?
He's not a leader.
Yeah.
That's for certain.
He's not a leader.
He's not a leader of what should be a top 4 team. I mean,
I chime in there, and I maybe argue that Arsenal maybe isn't as quick a fix in the sense that I feel your back four is shambolic. I feel your back four shambolic. I don't think Bellerin has been. He's definitely been the best player on that right, but I don't think he's
a shadow of
he's come back from an ACL though, so he's building there. The same as Kieran Tierney. Kieran Tierney, I think, will be 10 times better than Kolasinac.
I think.
And so
David Luiz is past. It made sense. It was a cheap signing. It was a Premier League experienced defender.
It's a gamble, wasn't it?
It was 100%. It was a gamble, but for 8 million,
it was desperate.
Yeah,
but
Mustafi,
I really don't agree with it. I don't agree with bringing in someone like David Luiz in a dying defence. Like, you've got someone who's 32 coming into a dying defence. I don't think that's the right move at all. You were supposed to be looking at, you were desperate, but you're supposed to be looking at centre backs that are.
If Arsenal were prepared to spend that money on on Pepe, I don't understand. What did they spend? Was it 70 million? 75?
75 million on Pepe.
75 million. Okay. Why wouldn't they put an extra 10 on that and go for Koulibaly?
They signed that William Saliba, didn't they?
Yeah.
What's
we
going on
had
with
we had two centre halves that we were linked with massively. Saliba, who we got over the line, but Saint-Étienne said they will not sell to us unless we loan him back.
Yeah.
And we had Spurs looking at him, Napoli were looking at him, and so I think we were just like, right, well, he's going to be a future star.
Yeah.
So we'll just let that happen. The other one was Upamecano from Leipzig.
Leipzig.
He looks good.
We looked at that just too late. We were looking at it on deadline day, and it was like, well, for the tune of, I think you could probably get him for like 70, 60 mil. But they were saying, because obviously it's deadline day, they were like, well, yeah, we'll do it for 110. And so Arsenal obviously aren't going to do that. And so they literally just thought, so that's why I don't really mind the David Luiz one, because it was a quick fix, only 8 mil. It's only it's a 2-year contract, is it? So, it's one of them things that I don't really have that big a problem with that.
I feel like if there was already a solidified defender there in the first place, it would have been it could have been genius. Yeah. But there wasn't. I mean, Mustafi is diabolical as well. Yeah. He is horrendous. Kolasinac, we've already spoke about him. Terrible. Don't like him at all.
Can't cross a road, mate.
He's awful. He can't. I tell you what, it's good you got Tierney over the line, because there's every potential he's going to come good.
Yeah.
Because he's already shown himself a bit in the Scottish League. Hopefully he can come good for Arsenal. But that back four, atrocious. Xhaka, you need to get him out as well. I mean, there's your attack, I think, is the only thing I like about Arsenal. Yeah. Ozil as well. I have no idea what is going on with Ozil.
I mean, the whole
it's like he's in a prison.
Yeah, he's been ostracised completely from the Arsenal team, and it's only now that they are playing him that they've got a bit of creative energy in them.
Exactly. Well, it was one of these things that Emery tried to, he's obviously been burnt quite badly with having the likes of Mbappe, Neymar, Cavani and stuff like that, and I think he's come along someone like Mesut Ozil, who's a bit of a maverick. He's not going to do all this defensive work. He does run. It's a complete it's a false accusation that he doesn't run at all. He does run, but he's just not defensively good, is he?
He's a very one-track minded player. He knows what he can do, and he's not willing to change how he plays for a manager that comes in.
There are players in the Arsenal team. I just pulled up the squad now that do have some kind of excitement to them. Yeah. You've obviously got Reece Nelson, which is a very interesting player.
Can't get in the team at the moment, though.
He can't seem to. I mean, especially after a good
plays
season.
Europa League games, and that's it. And it's like, with the team performing as badly as it is, why not just throw him in there, see if he can do something?
I'm a big fan of Torreira. I do like Torreira.
Matteo Guendouzi.
Yeah, I think Guendouzi's a superstar player.
He's a shining light in this Arsenal team, but absolutely he's definitely a star for the future.
So some of the names in the Arsenal defence though, that what was it, Mavropanos, that Konstantinos Mavropanos?
Again, he was one of these youth products who we thought he could be amazing. Yeah. And he had that one game against United, didn't he? Where he literally had Lukaku in his back pocket, but now he just can't stay fit. His
Callum-
knees are shot to bits.
Callum Chambers is still knocking around.
I think Chambers, though, this year, Chambers has actually been the best centre-half that Arsenal have had. I mean, it's not really saying much because Arsenal's centre-backs have been absolutely awful, but he's like, if I was to make Arsenal's back four, I would say Tierney left back, Bellerin right back, hoping that they can get themselves back in form, because even though they've just come back, they're not looking good. And then I'd have to pick Chambers on the right and then Luiz on the left.
No Socrates.
He is dreadful.
I think that Socrates signing was a big mistake.
It was the worst signing ever.
to get him so early in the window as well.
Yeah.
And then of that season, and then he's like, what was he, 29 when you signed him?
I was 30.
30 coming off not a great season at Dortmund.
Yeah, terrible season. Like, if Dortmund are willing to sell a player for like 15 million, then it's quite clear that he is a terrible player.
But again, it's quick fixes.
Just gets bookings all the time. Like, anytime he's like one-on-one with someone in the penalty area, I'm having a heart attack, because if he's not trying to like rugby tackle them, he's there literally just kicking lumps out of them, and it is dreadful.
Arsenal are at the moment quick fix FC, aren't they?
Pretty much, yeah.
They are.
However, if Unai Emery does get, maybe, as we keep saying, that one more bad result to get him that that sacking, Pochettino may be coming in. They have to snap him up quickly because he's going to go soon.
See, again, just like Mourinho, Pochettino did say a while ago he has two strong ties to Espanyol and Tottenham, that he would never manage Barcelona and Arsenal.
I mean, he's just got sacked though, so
it's just words right now, isn't it?
Loyalty goes out the window then.
It's
so
just words.
Paying the money, innit? Like, if you've seen how much Mourinho's on, I bet you he probably thought, I don't really want to take the Tottenham job. But then when they come to him and said, right, okay, we're going to make you the second highest paid manager in world football.
You kidding? Really?
Absolutely,
second highest paid.
Jesus.
So only Guardiola is paid more.
So with that, with a potential Poch hiring, for Arsenal. Where would you say like the main areas is to try and improve this Arsenal team? Obviously, your central defence is absolutely on the table for like instant looking at in January.
I think what he'd try and do is I think he'd almost just like employ, right, okay, I can't fix this defence in January. I cannot get a centre half in for a good amount of money that is going to fix this. So I think what he would literally say is, right, we are going to beat teams 5-4. Yeah. I'm literally going to unleash. I'm going to play 4-2-3-1. I'm going to play, the front four is going to be Oda as the 10, Pepe on the right, Auber on the left, Laka up front. Going to have Ceballos as an 8, Torreira as the 6, and literally just say, go win the game. Like, it doesn't matter how many goals we concede, because right now I don't see a player that you can get in January for a decent amount of money that's going to fix this. It's going to have to be one of these Liverpool Virgil van Dijk things where we spend loads of money to get this one player who can fix it.
I think the only player right now which resembles that to me is Koulibaly.
Absolutely.
I think there are plenty of other young centre backs like you mentioned, Upe Campo Giza from Leipzig. But right now the only developed player who I think, fair play, he's given Napoli an awful lot, but come on, mate, take another challenge. I mean, he could come in and do absolute bits in the Premier League.
Yeah,
definitely. So I like Arsene mentioned, I reckon Koulibaly would be a great
Koulibaly. But obviously Napoli are they're gonna expect about 100 million for him,
and they need to find a home for that armband as well, don't they?
Absolutely, yeah, they do. Honestly, they do need a leader, and that is desperately what this Arsenal team is lacking, especially obviously. Missing out Mesut Ozil.
I've said it before and I've said it again. Liverpool, although Henderson wears the armband, Van Dijk is that leader.
He's that. I'd see it as Henderson is the general, and Virgil van Dijk is the guy that leads us into battle.
Van Dijk says jump, and you say how high, don't you?
Exactly.
He genuinely is the man. But
who do you think can take it then, an Arsenal? Because for me, I look at that side and I think, well, there's like the captains that we've currently got, like Aubameyang's captain at the moment, and I think he's a character, but I don't really think he's a captain. I think he's good to have around the dressing room, and I do think he's one of the leaders sort of thing in the dressing room, even though there's a lack of them. But the other people that are suggested, it's like Bellerin. Would you think Bellerin?
Bellerin makes sense because he's senior, but again.
But yeah, this is the thing. He's had one season where he's looked good again, like last season. But for the last 3 years before that, just looked awful.
Yeah.
And he just didn't want to be there, sort of thing, and like was complaining about leaving, wanted to go to Barcelona. So
I hate to say this, even as a United fan talking about us, I hate to say it, but it just is David Luiz. It just is.
Yeah, this is the thing. Like he again, like from everything that you read and stuff like that, he's one of the senior leaders again. Like and so I think like. Maybe he might have to be given the armband just because I can't actually see anyone else who can take it, to be honest with you.
Same. I just can't
maybe
see it.
Lacazette. I think Lacazette sets a really good example.
Or maybe Bernd Leno.
Leno wouldn't be bad.
A captain as your goalkeeper. I mean, you saw it with Petr Cech. A captain that can see the entire field, that can direct from the back. Maybe when get your defenders in shape for a counter attack straight away. So maybe, obviously, Leno is a very experienced goalkeeper, but he's still young. Yeah. He can step up and be that leader that someone wants.
Spoke about Rob Holding as well, didn't they, as one of them?
Yeah.
And since his ACL, he's not looked the same player. He was really good last season, and then ACL, and now he's come back, and honestly, he just looks like Mustafi Mark II. Pretty much. So I can't really have him.
That injury can change a lot of players.
Arsenal's defensive woes are basically what needs to improve. Basically, if Poch was to come in, but that can't be fixed within one season.
Yeah,
I think how you described, how Poch might come in. I think that might be a potential way that he would.
I think that's how, even if Emery stays in the job, I think right now he should stop looking to try and fix this defence and just go, right, we need to just attack teams because it's the only thing we can do. So let's stop trying to, let's not play a back five. Let's not try and play two pivot sixes and stuff like that. Like, let's just literally take the handbrake off and just unleash it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean that Arsenal team is a couple steps away from improving, and it's only a matter of time. So. And then Joe, we have Manchester United who have Ole Gunnar Solskjaer at the wheel right now. Same again. Do you reckon it's a matter of time before Ole is not at the wheel?
It's tough. I 100% believe that's not what the club wants to do at all. You don't hire a manager with the intention of sacking them, and no club does. They want them to stay there for long periods of time, be very successful. It was a romantic signing for United. Everyone loves to see an ex-player, especially of his calibre, come in. Very nostalgic around the club. Everyone's singing his praises. First couple wins, this is awesome. But it can't just be enough to inspire. The inspiration can come and it can be great. Okay, we've got a new manager. We can do it, guys. That mentality. But it isn't everything. He inherited a broken team. He's still got a broken team.
Absolutely.
I mean, right now, there are players that are currently still in the depths of United which have no business being there.
Ashley Young is a definite one.
Ashley Young arguably should. I think I'm more than happy letting him retire at United now. I mean, I can't believe he hasn't already.
If you just want someone, because you need players who are going to just soak up the minutes of a Europa League and a Carabao Cup sort of thing, and that's where he's all right, he can do a job.
I see people saying, Young out, but at the same time, he's 36, 37, isn't he? Yeah. Just let him stay for a bit. Just let him just end the career there. But ultimately, he's not our standard. Marcus Rojo, I cannot stress enough how much he is not a United centre-back. Yeah. And he has looked poor since we've signed him, and he has consistently stayed at the club. It's honestly, it baffles me how he's still there. Phil Jones as well.
Phil Jones needs to go.
If it was down to Phil Jones or Chris Smalling. Chris Smalling goes out on loan to Roma, instantly starts playing like Paolo Maldini. Brilliant, Great to see. But ultimately, how Phil Jones is still there. Both of them aren't United standard. Phil Jones, Chris Smalling is a perfectly good backup defender. Chris Smalling is a low-level Premier League defender or Championship. He's not a United defender again, and this is just the defence. And then there are players waiting in the wings like Timothy Fosu-Mensah, who is realistically a centre defensive midfielder, but he'll get put out at right back and centre back and everything.
Actually, Twanzebe as well.
yeah, Twanzebe as well. Wan-Bissaka coming through. Diogo Dalot, I'm very excited about him. Maguire is going to be our captain at some point. He's already had to put the armband on a few times. It's going to be permanent.
Victor Lindelof is
I like Lindelof as well.
He's starting to show a resemblance of what United expected when he first arrived.
I like Eric Bailly, but his fitness again, it proved that it can't be done. So move him on. He needs to be moved on. He's a perfectly good defender, but his fitness is not up to it.
You almost see another Phil Jones and Chris Smalling sort of thing coming in with Bailly, don't you? Where they show flashes where you're like, oh, if we can get him fit, then he's going to be a great centre back, and then injuries come, and then the poor form, and then it's like
I tell you, although we concede the goals, but that is not our problem. Our problem is the creativity in the team to lead up to the goals. So that lies a lot of the time in the midfield. I mean, you can see what I'm looking at in front of me here, mate. Yeah. The midfield, wow. It
is just Paul Pogba, isn't it? Paul Pogba literally carries United's midfield.
Absolutely.
And there's just players like Jesse Lingard has had a terrible year.
I think that Jesse Lingard is one of those players that will be very, very upset if Poch comes in, because if Poch comes into United, he gets rid of Jesse Lingard straight away.
Yeah, definitely.
I honestly, I think I'd agree with that. Andres Pereira, we've kept him on. I like him. I do like him. He's not United level, so he needs to be moved on.
He's a squad player, isn't he?
Yeah, squad player,
right now, he's one of these people who, again, you need someone who's just going to soak up some minutes in the Europa League and Carabao Cup. He can do that. But the fact that he's been starting in the Premier League is just not on.
Fred has had glimpses every now and again of talent. I'm more than happy for him to stay in the squad at the moment, but he needs a bit of a boot in the right direction. Juan Mata, I love Juan Mata so much, but it's getting on now, mate. You need to move along.
Yeah.
Instead of signing him on a 2-year deal extension, which again baffled me of why that happened. And then the other main name which pops about in there is Nemanja Matic.
God.
Again, just somebody who's just past United standard now. I think he's growing quite frustrated as well. I think he's making his presence known. He's not happy at the club. That's fine. The club's not happy with you. It's perfectly fine to move along. That's what needs to happen for him. To tell you what, the only player, apart from Paul Pogba, who again can't keep fitness at the moment, who I'm happy with is Scott McTominay. I really like Scott McTominay, and he can be a staple player in United as long as he has the players around him. We have young players in the mix like Angel Gomez, Jimmy Garner as well, but right now they are still young players. And then the attack of Martial, Rashford, Greenwood, I'm very happy with those guys, but they need the creativity.
You only have 3 proper attackers as well, so constantly rotating these 3 strikers is going to be very tiresome. Like some games you play all 3 at once.
Yeah,
You've got no one to bring off the bench.
This was why I think maybe selling Lukaku was a mistake, or selling him but not getting in someone, because he also got you 20 goals a season, Romelu Lukaku. He was a very underrated player at United. He scored 20 goals both seasons he was there.
Yeah, I mean,
you need someone who's going to do that. And is Tony Martial and Rashford going to be able to do that?
The problem is, if you come to United on a big fee, you will be targeted by the media. You'll be targeted. Paul Pogba, obviously, aside from being, and he is on his day a world class footballer.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry about that. I'm going to put it out there. On his day, he can be a world class footballer.
I think he is world class, mate. 100%.
But I think when you come in on a big fee, you are scrutinised. Harry Maguire is going to literally, the second he could make a single mistake, a single missed pass, bang, back page of the Sun, or bang, absolutely. Daily Mail, absolutely being slated. Same with Paul Pogba. The big fees always get targeted. That ultimately, that isn't just United. That's other clubs as well. Obviously, Pepe coming under fire a lot because of that fee. If he was a £7 million player that they brought in, maybe it wouldn't be that bad. But the big fee always, kind of comes in. I feel like when Ollie came in, like I said, it was a romantic signing. He looked okay,
I think the thing that hit the nail on the head, and then it's just gone downhill from everything's been romanticised from that one night in Paris.
Yeah, no, it genuinely has. We are in possession of a team. I feel like United's problems aren't necessarily as much in the players anymore. I feel like it's a lot of the time it's the confidence, it's the philosophy. We need something completely different. David Moyes inherited a great team, but had no direction, which completely crashed us. Louis van Gaal had a clear philosophy. It was evident in the way we played football. It wasn't exciting at all, but 2 years at the club, got him an FA Cup, so fair enough. Mourinho comes in again with a bit of a different philosophy, not so attacking, very kind of more boring style football. And we won a European Cup and we won a League Cup. So we need something completely different. And what Pochettino comes in and does is excellent man management. He builds players up.
Mm-hmm.
He can bring in that pressing element as well, which is exciting to see. The lack of trophies, it is worrying, I think, for a club which are looking to sign him if with that in their mind. But United need to be realistic right now. Trophies right now are not at the forefront of our thinking. We need to rebuild the squad first. If we could have a great rebuild season and come out scrapping a League Cup or an FA Cup with it, that would be absolutely brilliant. But we need a strong rebuild. I feel like he would be a very good fit. I feel like we come in, we let him do what he needs to do. But United's problems aren't just at the management level, it's above.
Do you think Ole can change it, though?
I feel like
investment in the right talent, Ole can do it. But I don't know if he has the vision for it.
You say you want... Because they've got this philosophy now, haven't they? That they said they're going to sign young British players. And that's going to be it. So they said, right, okay, so we're not going to look for big names anymore. They've rejected Paulo Dybala. Because they said, right, you don't want to be at this club. You just want to pick up a load of wage in it. And then just, move on a little bit later. So who do you think, using this philosophy, who do you sign to replace, to fix this team?
I mean, yeah, allegedly that is kind of the route that it definitely looks like we've gone down in the summer. If that's what we're doing, if that's the kind of thing we want to do, that's absolutely fine. I like the idea of building up English players through the club, but we need to fix the holes first, mainly in midfield. I think creativity is our worst point.
I think this English, wanting to bring in young English players is probably what maybe the fault. I reckon someone like Dani Olmo, from the Croatian league.
Zagreb, isn't he?
He's at Zagreb at the minute. He's a very young, promising player. Maybe a Rodrigo Bentancur from Juventus.
Yeah, he can't get in the team, can he? Well, you've been linked with Emre Can, haven't you? Can says that he can come in January.
but Can again is just a...
Might not be a bad player, to be fair, mate. I think he's someone who, because you're looking for that person to release Pogba.
He's just a bit rigid.
Yeah, he's not great, but depending on the price you can get him for, I suppose.
I think maybe Manchester United are missing that one player that can actually release Pogba.
Yeah.
And I think maybe it's a central defensive midfielder that isn't Nemanja Matic. Maybe Sandro Tonali. Very young, promising Italian player who plays for Brescia.
Yeah, it is. He's very heavily touted for his passing, isn't he, as well?
Very good vision, very good defensively as well. Not very attacking minded, which would allow Pogba to be unleashed.
I'm not necessarily looking for young players. I don't mind signing established players, but my God, do they need to know what they're doing?
However, if a Pochettino does come in, the young players are more likely to come underneath him and learn from him. So I reckon that back four that you've got, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Harry Maguire, Victor Lindelof, whoever you have at left back at the time, maybe it's Brandon Williams.
Yeah.
To hit them under Poch, I reckon could thrive.
Well, last season, mate, I tell you what. N'Golo Kante, Fabinho, Wilfred Ndidi, and number 4, I think, or arguably number 3, I think they were very, very similar, was Idrissa Gueye for Everton.
Yes.
Letting him go under the radar and letting him go to PSG was, again, a crime. He would have come in and instantly improved our midfield.
He's been unbelievable at PSG.
Yeah.
He's been fantastic, to be fair.
I mean, United just do not close deals. We're just not prepared to do it. We don't have the backing. I think we're the club in the Premier League in the most debt, which I don't know if many people know or not, but we are. It's still in the most debt. The Glazers haven't looked at focusing that at all. There was rumours of us having a Saudi takeover. That seemed to have been quieting down now. So I don't know what the direction is for us, because as long as we've got people at the club which don't like football and they're viewing it as a business, we will never ever succeed.
Absolutely. I mean, maybe you're just one strike away as well.
Yeah.
But until the vision of the club improves, someone else takes over. You get more management under control. More is invested into the club and less into the pockets of the owners. I think that's where Man United's troubles lie. Once you became that global powerhouse that sells merchandise, and sponsors everywhere, I think that was the ultimate downfall for Manchester United.
I think there's a good 6 players which need to go.
Yeah.
Okay.
and I think there's at least 2 attackers need to come in, and the midfield needs to be adjusted. I think right now I'm happy to leave the defence currently.
I reckon
Yeah,
you
I think
you
the
leave your
defence is fine.
defence, bring in maybe a central defensive midfielder and a slightly more attacking, creative midfielder, and you've been heavily linked with Erling Haaland from Salzburg. I think if you had Marcus Rashford, Haaland, and Martial up front, leave Mason Greenwood on the bench, but playing in those Europa League games, those important FA Cup games that make you get silverware, to give him still the more experience and keep him a squad rotated player. I think that Manchester United's problems are going to slowly die out.
Haaland and Mandzukic, possibly. I know Mandzukic is still a name which has been thrown at us. He's an older player. If we could get him for cheap, I wouldn't necessarily be opposed to it. I know he's not going to be starting all the time. I know he's going to come in and fill those gaps. But again,
Plan B, isn't it? Really, you know,
100%.
like, it's the regen of Fellaini. You know, the regen. Like,
The regen Fellaini.
FIFA regens is coming back, but
I mean,
I've got a question for you though.
Go on.
What about? So you said that you want someone who's you want effectively, if Pogba's gonna be your 8, you want a 6, and then you need the 10.
Yeah.
So the 2 options are, well, there's 3 options, I suppose, to be fair. Following that United mould,
Yeah.
James Maddison, John McGinn, or Jack Grealish. Which one?
If I had to have any of those three, mate, those are really interesting players to mention.
James Maddison
Mate,
all the way.
James Maddison. In the ideal world is James Maddison.
He's gonna be so much money, and will he want to leave Leicester? That's the question. You've got Jack Grealish, who's open. He said that he's going to have one more season. I agree with you that out of the 3, James Maddison's head and shoulders above him, but he's going to literally be 100 million or something like that.
If we sign Jack Grealish, I'll be so good.
Who wants to sign Jack Grealish, really? Like,
It's not going to.
He's a good player. He's good. He's not John McGinn. John McGinn is better than him.
John
and I would
McGinn's
take John
class.
McGinn. But equally, you know, this is why I think maybe this philosophy sort of shot yourself in the foot a little bit, because, you know, there's so many great number 10s out there. Like, you could see how much it takes to get Marco Asensio
Oh yeah, I mean,
or
it's
something like that.
it's
You know,
the philosophy that we're talking about. It's all alleged. I mean, it definitely looked like that's the route we were going down, but at the same time, it's unfeasible. We can't stick. There's no way it would work. I mean, right now, in terms of our defence, Luke Shaw, Fosu Mensah, Basaka, Twanzebe, Delo, Maguire, and Lindelof. Those are all the defenders that I want to keep at the club. The rest of them, out you go. The rest of them, out you go. And then in terms of the midfield, again, it's even slimmer. Realistically, I'm looking at the likes of Paul Pogba. I'm looking at Daniel James, which is more of an attacker, to be honest with you. But Paul Pogba, Daniel James, McTominay, and I'd say Fred as well. The rest of them, the young players, but the rest of them aren't cutting it. It's a dark time. I think Pochettino can come in. I think he genuinely can put a shift in.
Absolutely.
Right now, it's looking scarce for managers out on the market. If Pochettino, I mean, right now, I think at the forefront, personally, I feel like he's very, very likely to go to Bayern Munich if they give him the right money. However, I think he'd prefer the Prem.
I think, to come back and prove that he is that Premier League tier manager, take a club like Arsenal or Tottenham that are stifling at the minute. I think he can produce something really good.
Yeah.
I think he can produce some magic under these 2 clubs.
I think it's exciting to see where we're going to see him end up at.
Absolutely. And you guys can let us know what you think on social media. Obviously, plugging it again. Twitter at Pundits Average and Instagram at Average Pundits. So we go on to this week. Very interesting games in the Premier League. First of all, we're gonna predict some games. First off, we got the noon kickoff. Newcastle versus Manchester City.
That's going to be an easy win for City. I mean, even that's an away job. They're gonna pretty much bury them. I reckon 3-0.
Aguero's out though. He's got ligament injury. So, but then again, Gabby Jesus, to be fair, whenever he plays, is usually a very good.
He still does a job.
He's a great backup, isn't he?
I feel like the goals can come anywhere from that City team. That's what makes them so deadly.
Exactly.
So I'd confidently say 3-0. What about you?
Yeah, I'd agree with that. 3-0.
I'm gonna go 4-0.
Okay.
4-0 for Manchester City.
Yeah.
Next game, Burnley at home taking on Crystal Palace.
That's going to be interesting. I mean, Crystal Palace put in a very good shift against Liverpool, but that away win for Burnley was great as well. For
Carrying
their confidence.
momentum, absolutely.
They're very good at home, aren't they, Burnley? So I'd see Burnley probably just pulling off like a 1-0. It can be a pretty standard game, you know.
I
Set
I'm
piece.
I'm gonna put a 1-1 draw on that.
1-1. Okay, I'm going to say 2-1 Crystal Palace. I think. I do think that Crystal Palace do have the firepower to take down Burnley.
Okay.
Next game, I have Chelsea versus West Ham United.
Chelsea, West
Bit
Ham.
of a miniature London derby here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, West Ham have just been terrible, haven't they? You
Oh,
know,
they are poor.
Pellegrini's on the knife edge as well, which is it's a shame because some of the recruitment was really good. You know,
Yeah.
bringing in Seb Haller, Pablo Fionaus. But yeah, it's not really worked at the moment. It's not clicking. Ever since Fabianski got injured and they've got Sergio Roberto, mate, like he's got crisp hands, isn't he? He cannot save a shot.
He is honestly one of the worst goalkeepers I've seen in a long time.
Absolutely.
Well, there's
That goal.
Balbuena, the centre half, said that he's refusing to play with him behind him. He said he would rather have a youth team keeper in goal.
Wow.
That's why he didn't play on the weekend. They're all turning against him, and again, it was another shocking performance from him. So, whereas Chelsea, on the other hand, are unbelievable at the moment.
I'm going to say it's gonna have to be 3-1 to Chelsea.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I'm gonna put 3-0 Chelsea down on that one.
yeah. I think I'd put 3-0 Chelsea.
Next game at Anfield, Liverpool take on Brighton. I don't see anything but a Liverpool win here, to be honest.
Yeah.
Brighton aren't in the greatest of form at the minute, so
Pretty confident performance from
Yeah.
Liverpool, I reckon they'll be.
Yeah.
I still think, as we said, that they are prone to letting the goal slip. I'm going to put 2-1 down Liverpool. I still think it'll be a convincing win, but as we mentioned earlier, they do have a tendency to let that kind of goal slip in.
Yeah.
absolutely. Like, we were almost held at Sheffield United, so I hope that we can keep the clean sheet. So I'm going to say 2-0. So I reckon we can hopefully.
I'm going to go 3-1.
3-1.
Yeah.
Next up, we have Spurs at the London Stadium, or whatever it's called, the Toilet Bowl Arena, I like to call it, versus Bournemouth. Can Jose do it again? Can Jose pull out a win out of his? Can he pull a win out?
Watch Bournemouth go there and do a job though.
I mean, they did it against Man United.
They
Josh
did.
King.
Do you reckon? I think Mourinho's got that bounce that he always has, where like the first few months of his seasons are always amazing, aren't they? Like,
Yeah.
he always looks so. All of his times, like I remember when he first took over United and they like battered teams 4-0 for like 8 games straight. Like I think that it'll breeze past Bournemouth. I think it'll be like a 3-0 or something like that. Oh no, actually, because Spurs' defence is terrible. Probably 3-1. Something like that.
I'm going to say 2-1 to Spurs.
I'm also going to go 2-1. I feel like Bournemouth are going to go there. They're going to get a goal through Wilson or King, and they'll give them a tough ride. I don't think Mourinho will be happy, but I think it'll be a win.
Absolutely. Next game that we have, I'm going to go Wolves versus Sheffield United.
That'll be a great game. That will be a great
I've
game.
missed the Saturday game, but we can go back to that.
I was going to say, yeah, that'll be awesome. I think 2-2.
2-2. I was about to say the exact same thing, 2-2.
Yeah.
I think the scoring prowess of both teams is really on form at the minute. They're producing some very exciting football.
That could come out as game of the weekend.
Potentially, we could be talking about one of the, or we could just talk about that game next week.
Yeah.
Depending on how good that game is. It could be very, very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, both 2-2.
2-2.
I'm going to say.
All 2-2s all round. Back to Saturday's games because I evidently missed one out. Southampton versus Watford, probably a bit of a
The L relegation battle.
pretty much, yeah.
I think Southampton, to be fair, the last few games that they've been playing since they got that 9-0 drubbing, they've actually looked all right. You know, like they're a lot sort of. I think when you get battered 9-0, you just have to look at yourselves, and then they've sort of like really picked up since then. Like, definitely deserve to beat us. They gave City a load of problems in the earlier one, so I'm actually going to go for a 2-1 Southampton win.
2-1. I'm gonna say 0-0 for this one.
I'm going to put 0-0 down.
Okay.
I feel like that's going to be a weird game.
Yeah. Speaking of, probably not going to be a weird game. Probably straightforward for Leicester City in Leicester, taking on Everton.
I'm going to make a prediction for that game. That's going to be the first sacking of the season.
You think?
Potentially. I think like we said, Marco Silva, it's got to be hanging on now, and I don't see anything other than Leicester battering them.
It's a race, mate. It's a race between the two Sunday games. Who gets sacked?
Who gets
4-0 Leicester, I'm putting on
4-0.
that. Unhappy Marco
I'm going to
Silva.
put a swift 3-0 on it because I do think Everton can maybe hold at least one.
Yeah, I'd agree with a 3-0.
3-0. Now on to today's two topical teams. First of all, Arsenal away at Norwich.
if there's anything other than 3 points and a convincing performance, Emery should get sacked. That's my opinion. Norwich, they got that away win against Everton, but other than that, the last 5-6 games, like since they beat City, they've just looked dreadful. Like relegation form from them, basically. So yeah, I think what I want is a Norwich City win so we can lose Emery. But what I think will probably happen is it'll probably be like a 1-0 win to Arsenal with like a scrappy goal.
I'm going to put 2-1 Arsenal on that one. I think Emery will maybe survive just a tiny bit longer.
I'm going to put, controversially, 1-1. I do think they can hold. They can pick a point in that Arsenal defence and sort of litter it about a bit.
Anything other than a win, he is gone. Isn't it?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. If he loses to Norwich, that's abysmal. And then the final game, I believe. There's some games on Tuesday as well. That's a bit raunchy.
Games on Tuesday.
There is, as well.
Oh because we've got early games.
Early games, but we
in the Christmas season.
We shall recap those as we go along. So Manchester United versus Aston Villa at Old Trafford.
Aston Villa are going to come with a clear mindset of getting points off us. I don't think they're going to lie down. They're going to have a strong kind of build in that team, but it's going to be tough to break them down. But again, every game we go into now, we have no choice but to win. That Sheffield thing was horrendous. Ollie is also potentially hanging on by strings. The media would have you see he's hanging by strings, but whether the Glazers want to get rid of him is another story. So I'm going to put down 2-0 United. 2-0
to Manchester. I'm going to say 2-1. I do see John McGinn getting a goal. I always see John McGinn getting goals, or Jack Grealish celebrating in front of that those Manchester United fans.
I reckon it's going to be 1-1. I think it would just be one of these sort of games where, like, United, to be fair, dominate the game, but Villa score like a set piece and they just can't. You just get one, sort of thing.
Could be horrendous.
Absolutely. So yeah, hopefully guys have enjoyed this week's podcast. The big debate on Mauricio Pochettino and also Manchester United and Arsenal, where they lie in limbo. As always, remember to subscribe and like. Maybe share these videos. That would be an absolutely massive help to us growing this platform. And also follow us on Twitter at Pundits Average and at Average Pundits on Instagram. Sorry. And yeah, we shall speak to you guys next time. Thank you, Al, for being on this week's edition of the Average Pundits.
Enjoyed it.
You shall get your complimentary shirt in the mail. And Joe, as always, thank you for being here with me.
Thank you very much, mate.
We shall see you guys next time.